So constructors with default arguments. So we already discussed various types of constructors. The constructors without arguments, without parameters is your default constructor, and parameterized constructor, constructor with default arguments, and copy constructor. So it is possible to define constructors with default arguments. Look at the example clearly. Look at the constructor. We have two int m comma int n is equal to 0. We have two parameters. The first one is m and second one is n. N is assigned with 0. That is what you call your default argument. At the time of object creation, we are supposed to pass two arguments, one for m and one for n. But here, as we know, we assigned the value, some value to the second argument. At the time of object creation, no need of passing the second argument. Look at the object creation, add k of 5. We are supposed to pass two arguments, but we are passing only one argument, and 5 is passed to m, and n takes the default value of 0. Look at another statement, add k of 5 comma 10. The 5 is assigned to m and 10 is assigned to n. The actual parameter when specified overrides the default value. Overrides. We assign n with 0, but at the time of object creation, we are passing two arguments. We are supposed to pass only one, as the second one is initialized. But what happens if you pass two? If you pass 2, the value which is assigned with earlier will be overridden. A copy constructor is used to declare and initialize an object from another object. So we have basically two types of copy constructors, default copy constructor and user defined. The default copy constructor in C++ is defined by the compiler, and the compiler also supplies the constructor if there is no copy constructor defined by the user. So user defined constructor, this type of constructor is generally defined by the user or the programmer. Look at the example clearly. When the copy constructor is called, what are the scenarios the copy constructor is called? The first case is when an object is initialized by the user with another existing object that is of same type of class. Whenever the same class type object is generally passed by value, generally as an argument, then the copy constructor is called. Whenever the same class type object is generally returned by value by the function, then the copy constructor is called. There are generally two types of copies that are produced by the constructor, shallow copy and deep copy, which we will be discussing in detail later. The shallow copy can only be produced by the default copy constructor. The procedure of creating the copy of an object just by copying the data of all the member variables exactly the same is known as shallow copy. I will give you an example later. The deep copy in the copy constructor allocates the memory for the copy dynamically, and then the actual value is copied, but the source from which data is copied and the copied data have very distinct memory locations. This ensures that the data copied and the source from where it has been copied shares the distinct memory locations. User-defined constructor should be written by the user in the deep copy. Look at the demo program. What is the class name? Code. We have one member data ID. If no access specified, means it's private. So how many constructors are there? Check it out. Check out the boxes. 1, 2, 3. The first constructor is an empty constructor, is of no use. Second one is constructor with one argument. And look at the third one. Constructor is taking object as an argument. A copy constructor takes a reference to an object of the same class as itself as an argument. What is the class name? Code. What comes after class name is an object. Code space A semicolon. A is an object. Code space X. X is an object. So ID is equal to X dot ID. Look at the main program. So when A is created, object A is created and initialized with 100, constructor 2 will be called automatically. Constructor 2, the constructor with one argument. So 100 is passed to A, and from A it is passed to ID. So now ID value, the data of A is 100. Code B of A. Look at the numbering 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the 1. Copy constructor is called. So what is within brackets here? A. Object A is passed to X. X dot ID is nothing but A dot ID. This is nothing but B dot ID is equal to A dot ID. That is very important here. So the data of one object is copied to another object of the same class. So look at the first code B within brackets A. It is nothing but the data A dot ID is copied to B dot ID. Look at the second one. Code C is equal to A. Copy constructor called again. Look at 3. D is created but not initialized. Look at 4. Copy constructor is not called. And what is important is a reference variable have been used as an argument to the copy constructor. We cannot pass the argument by value to a copy constructor. That is the reason why it is AND X. If you remember, call by value, call by reference. In constructor 3, it is AND X. We need to pass by reference, not by value. So what is destructor? In simple, the destructor is used to destroy the objects that have been created by a constructor. It is used to check where the scope of class object ends. As object is destroyed, then destructor calls. The name of destructor and name of the class name must be the same, but it should be preceded by the symbol tilde. and it will be executed automatically when the object of a class is destroyed. A destructor has same name as that of class to which it belongs to, but preceded by a tilde sign. A destructor is executed automatically whenever the object is destroyed. A destructor does not have a return type, not even void, and no arguments. There can be only one destructor in class. If you don't provide a destructor of your own, then the compiler generates a default destructor. A destructor can be used to deallocate memory for an object and declared in the public section. Any destructor function will be called automatically when the object goes out of scope. The term scope is very important here. When the object goes out of scope, point number 1, the function ends. 2, the program ends. 3, a delete operator is called. And what is the base need for destructor? It is to deinitialize the objects when they are destroyed, to clear memory space occupied by a data member. The term scope is very important here. We have a demonstration program here. What is the class name? Test. We have one constructor and one destructor. Whenever object is called, the constructor will be called automatically. So whenever we enter into constructor, the value of C will be incremented by 1. And you get a message on screen, object created C. And look at destructor definition. A destructor is also a special member function. Whenever the object is destroyed, the control will be transferred to destructor and you get a message, object destroyed and C minus minus. These are very important. And better you copy the output of this program. You just executed this in your mobile or laptop and note down the output. Look at the main part, how many objects are created. T1 is created. So at this point of time, your C value is 1. The block is very important here. Brackets are opened and closed means you are entering into the block. The scope of the block and the scope of the program are very important here. Test T2, T3. 2 objects are created. C will be incremented by 1 for T2 and 1 for T3. So at this point of time, your C value is 2 for T2 and 3 for T3. The bracket is closed, means you are coming out of the block. Once you are coming out of the block, the objects will be automatically destroyed. That is very important here. And again test T4, T5 and check out the output. Look at the note. Instead of using \n, we can use ENDL. ENDL is end of line. Manipulators in C++ will be discussed. We'll be discussing later. ENDL, end of line. I just given a note there. Go through it. I'm telling again, better you write down the output of this program. Then it will be very clear. And try it by creating one more, by putting one more block in the main program. Because the scope plays very important role in this.